Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the third edition of the Mediterranean Halal Industry Forum, organized by the Association of the Mediterranean Chambers of Commerce and Industry. In this occasion, in collaboration with the Halal Trade and Marketing Center in the UAE and the Instituto Halal in Spain. My name is Tomás Guerrero. I'm the manager of the Halal Trade and Marketing Center in Dubai, and today I will be conducting the full program and moderating the panel discussion. First of all, I would like to express my deep gratitude to ASCAME for organizing again this amazing Halal Forum and inviting me to be part of this event. It's an honor, it's a pleasure to be here today with all of you, conducting and moderating this forum about the present and the future of the halal markets and the main opportunities for the Mediterranean companies in this fast-growing business niche. Well, let's start the session inviting two distinguished Mediterranean leaders, such as Mr. Anwar Sibawi, General Coordinator of the Association of the Mediterranean Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and Mrs. Isabel Romero, Managing Director of the Instituto Halal, to deliver the opening remarks. Mr. Sibawi, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I speak in Spanish in order to facilitate the work of translation also. Ok, en primer lugar, bueno, también con el nombre de ASCAME, la Cámara de Comercio de Barcelona, organizadores de MW20 y del Foro Halal, que ya es su tercera edición, agradecemos al Instituto Halal de España y su referencia, Isabel Romero, también al Halal Trade and Marketing Center en Dubai, su colaboración, y también al señor Guerrero esta fuerza que tiene para intentar promocionar esta industria no solamente en el Mediterráneo, sino en Europa, y a mí me consta. Hoy, pues este ya es el tercer foro que inauguramos en esta jornada, en esta segunda jornada de MW20 Barcelona. MW20 Barcelona, en su 14ª edición, se está como la referencia, ya está confirmada como la referencia económica y empresarial, no solamente del Mediterráneo, sino de todo el mundo económico interesado en esta región. Es decir, nuestra labor de promocionar el Mediterráneo en el mundo también como objetivo está consiguiendo, digamos, estamos alcanzando un poco los objetivos. La verdad, lo que os puedo decir, que entre ayer y hoy la participación online es masiva, en lo cual quiero agradecer también desde Barcelona a todas esas empresas que nos están dedicando su tiempo y que esperamos que nosotros, que durante esos meses hemos organizado esos 16 eventos que durante esos 3 días se van a celebrar o se están celebrando, sean de su interés y sobre todo que les sirvan para poder avanzar en sus negocios, para poder reflexionar sobre los sectores importantes para la economía mediterránea y para consolidarse también a nivel general. Hoy vamos a hablar de la industria halal. Nosotros consideramos que esta es una industria en la cual la región mediterránea tiene que tener en cuenta como una prioridad, puesto que la mitad de nuestra población es consumidora, y estoy seguro que el resto también, cuando conozcan los productos, también lo será. En cualquier caso, este foro llega en un momento de incertidumbre. Vivimos en una pandemia que nos ha cambiado en esos meses nuestras formas de trabajar, en nuestras formas de enfocarnos bastantes cosas, pero también nos está ayudando a intentar calibrar un poco lo que es importante en la vida. En cualquier caso, como he dicho antes, es un momento de incertidumbre. A pesar de esto, esta industria está creciendo y sigue pues suscitando a nivel global y mediterráneo bastante interés. Esta industria se ha expandido más allá del sector alimentario. Mucha gente piensa que el halal solamente es food, es alimentos, pues no. Ahora incluye turismo, incluye hoteles, farmacia, cosmética, productos de la salud, productos médicos, también componentes del sector servicios, como la logística, marketing, medios, entre muchos sectores que cada vez más se está transformando esta industria para que sea una industria más global y menos de multicultivo de un solo producto. Y esto no es de extrañar que esos sectores dinámicos y de rápido crecimiento hayan experimentado una inversión significativa en los últimos años. Y se espera, sobre todo, que el sector halal de alimentos doble su crecimiento y hay un amplio margen para nuevas inversiones. Seguramente también con lo del post-pandemia, el sector médico, farmacéutico y otros sectores. Esperamos que el sector hotelero y turístico se pueda recuperar, pero desgraciadamente es uno de los sectores más afectados por esta pandemia y sea, digamos, el turismo general o el turismo halal o los hoteles halal. También tengo que decir que son cada vez más numerosas las empresas y grupos que están desarrollando productos e instrumentos adaptados a esta industria, a nivel general, a nivel global. Unas reglas, o sea, que se adaptan a unas reglas que rigen este concepto, a pesar de que el sector representa solo, bueno, pues un 10% de una proporción a nivel mundial, pero muestra aspectos más saludables que muchos de sus compañeros convencionales. Esta novedad está demostrando una capacidad de movilizar recursos. No olvidemos que es muy importante. La financiación es muy importante, la inversión es muy importante para cualquier sector y más ahora y sobre todo en el post-COVID. Moviliza recursos con una gama diversificada de productos de inversión y ahorro que podrían beneficiar también a todos los sectores, tanto público como privado. Y atrae también importantes flujos para invertir en sectores productivos en todo el mundo. Este fenómeno va a crecer, dotado de un mercado financiero específico, como es la banca islámica o el sector financiero islámico, y animado por capitales en busca de oportunidades. Todos sabemos que hay mucho capital que busca destino, busca invertir. Pero se deberán liberalizarse sus mercados y asegurar la libertad de inversión, coherencia jurídica, es decir, un Estado de Derecho, lo que facilitará su incorporación al sistema global, mundial, comercial. Es clave que crear un ecosistema de esta economía y que se adapte también, como he dicho antes, al entorno económico actual en el mundo. La llamada economía islámica se está convirtiéndose en un nuevo paradigma. Es un fenómeno que abarca regiones geográficas distintas, África, Asia, también Europa, límites culturales, tiene que abordar grandes retos para integrar este fenómeno y sus componentes, y en especial la alimentación, los viajes, estilo de vida, como he dicho antes, en la economía mundial. Pero con el aumento espectacular de la población musulmana, también en Europa, el gran negocio mundial de bienes y productos con certificación aprobada está en auge. La cuestión es cómo regular esos productos se hace cada vez más urgente. Hay demasiadas etiquetas. Puede ser difícil de detectar los fraudulentos. No olvidemos que la importancia de la etiqueta halal se extiende más allá de los alimentos. Incluye todo, desde bancas, seguros, servicios, hoteles, etcétera, productos farmacéuticos, todo necesita certificación. También es verdad que el gasto de los musulmanes en la industria halal ha alcanzado el año pasado 2,02 billones de dólares. De estos, el 50% se deben a la alimentación y se espera que este gasto aumente al 2,4 billones de dólares en 4 años. El mercado halal de alimentación representa entre el 16 y el 18% del mercado mundial de alimentos actual. Felicito también a Dubái, que se está perfilando como un centro de este comercio islámico, no solamente en Oriente Medio, sino en África y Asia. Las empresas internacionales de alimentación y bebida, así como las grandes cadenas de hoteles y farmacias, no son indiferentes y se están implicando. No olvidemos que hay varias multinacionales que cotizan en la bolsa de Nueva York también gracias a su índice Halal. En el sector de alimentación, por ejemplo, va a crecer un 35% anual hasta el 2030. Pocos sectores pueden aspirar a esto en la economía actual. Algunas grandes marcas de alimentación a nivel mundial ya tienen un 20% de sus fábricas o productos halal. Estamos hablando a nivel global. Esto es importante y es positivo, pero siempre hay un pero. Lo que hace falta para la industria halal es unificar las etiquetas, certificar los productos en todo el mundo. Eso ayudaría a su expansión en vastos mercados. En resumen, no se puede desdeñar este enorme potencial mercado consumidor que representa una gran oportunidad para relanzar el Mediterráneo y su economía y su reorientación hacia esos productos. Los beneficios pueden ser mayores para muchas empresas que la posible inacción. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much for your insightful remarks, Mr. Sibawi. Now, let's continue with the welcome remarks from Mrs. Isabel Romero, Managing Director of the Instituto Halal. Mrs. Romero, please, the floor is now yours.
Good afternoon to everybody. In the same case of the Mr. Anwar, I prefer to do it in Spanish language. Okay, buenas tardes a todos y todas. Muchísimas gracias a SCAME por seguir contando con el Foro Halal dentro de la programación de esta euromediterránea económica y también que de alguna manera deja ver que este mercado está teniendo ya una cierta consolidación en nuestro ámbito, en el Mediterráneo. En el caso de España, tenemos empresas que ya llevan 20 años, que cuentan con la certificación halal y con experiencia en los mercados internacionales. A pesar de esto, tenemos que seguir considerando que halal todavía es un segmento emergente en nuestro ámbito. Y luego comentaré alguna cosa que creo que sería necesaria para que esta emergencia avanzara hacia un modelo de consolidación que creo que merece en todos los sentidos, tanto por la capacidad productiva como por la calidad de productos que se pueden encontrar en el ámbito del Mediterráneo y, por supuesto, en España. Creo que el COVID, evidentemente, como acaba de avanzar Anwar, está significando un freno y una transformación en los modelos comerciales. Un freno, pues porque de alguna manera el consumo sobre todo de productos que no están en el segmento de alimentación, parece que la alimentación solo va a perder un 8% y no va a crecer, es decir, que está perdiendo y obviamente no va a crecer en este periodo, pero en el resto de los segmentos, especialmente en turismo, donde había unas proyecciones económicas muy importantes, pues es donde se está resintiendo especialmente este desarrollo. Pero parece que las previsiones económicas, una vez que veamos si verdaderamente esas vacunas son efectivas y podemos empezar a disponer de ellas en todos los ámbitos del planeta, pues va a haber posteriormente una reactivación. Se habla incluso de un impulso extraordinario de los distintos sectores que van a permitir recomponer las economías y volver un poco a este camino progresivo que ha llevado Halal a lo largo de los últimos años. Creo que ha habido algo positivo en esta crisis, que es que hemos podido avanzar en la digitalización, en que las empresas y las industrias se doten de herramientas tecnológicas que permitan una mayor penetración en el mercado a través del mundo digital. Este mundo digital que ya está ofreciendo grandes oportunidades para empresas, todavía creo que en el ámbito de Halal necesita desarrollo, necesita investigación y necesita desarrollo, necesita plataformas B2B que permitan a las empresas conectar fácil y rápidamente con otros compradores, con inversores y que permita visibilizar sus negocios de manera rápida y ágil. Y yo creo que en ese ámbito habría que hacer esfuerzos desde las distintas administraciones y desde la iniciativa privada para favorecerlo. Si pensamos y nos centramos en el ámbito del Mediterráneo, creo que esta apuesta común debe ser especialmente intensa. Estamos viendo cómo en Asia se va avanzando en acuerdos entre países de mayoría musulmana y de no mayoría musulmana, cerrando acuerdos comerciales muy potentes y, sin embargo, aquí, que es donde, en este ámbito, es donde se produce la mayor parte de la oferta alimentaria de calidad, con garantías en sus procesos de elaboración, pues no acabamos de tener el impacto que deberíamos. Y en ese sentido creo que es que todavía no se ha alcanzado un grado de conciencia en las instituciones y tampoco en las empresas suficiente como para darse cuenta que para conseguir ese objetivo hay que cooperar. Y creo que la cooperación y la relación entre una orilla y otra del Mediterráneo es fundamental. Es fundamental para poder garantizar la competencia, para poder mejorar la calidad de los productos, para que el marketing se incorpore como una herramienta necesaria e imprescindible en las empresas y para que el tejido industrial, que sobre todo descansa en pymes y en micropymes, pueda ayudar a que sus productos se sitúen en el mercado. Les puedo contar que en el caso español se está exportando a más de 140 países, pero lo hacen muy en solitario. En este caso, nosotros lo que estamos intentando desde nuestra modesta aportación es desarrollar plataformas que ayuden a estas empresas, a las pymes y a las micropymes, a poder salir a estos mercados y tener unas garantías de éxito en sus objetivos. Y para ello creamos hace ya 3 años el clúster Halal Córdoba, que agrupa un número de entidades de distintos sectores vinculadas a la producción halal, y también hemos lanzado recientemente, lo hemos trasladado al Gobierno de España y estamos ya trabajando con algunas comunidades autónomas, la puesta en marcha de un plan integral halal, que va a tener como base la información, la formación, el apoyo al marketing y a la comercialización y que permita que las empresas puedan ir con un desarrollo y un respaldo que en este momento en muchas ocasiones no disponen de ello. Por lo tanto, creo que se precisa de un enfoque común. En este todo se necesita estrategia común para poder abordar los distintos mercados. Esta estrategia común debe de generar una confianza, un flujo de confianza suficiente para poder tener esa presencia. Y quiero alertar sobre los riesgos, por lo menos en la parte europea, que estamos viviendo últimamente y que me parece que pueden de alguna manera perjudicar esta estrategia de desarrollo, como es el crecimiento de leyes que van a perjudicar a Halal, que pretenden perjudicar a Halal y también al conjunto de la ciudadanía musulmana europea, como ha pasado en Polonia y como está pasando en otros lugares en las que se está poniendo freno a la producción halal y también kosher, por motivos puramente ideológicos, y por lo tanto creo que esto es un peligro, que pone en cuestión el cumplimiento de los derechos de libertad de conciencia de la ciudadanía, pero también pone en riesgo y en peligro el crecimiento y el desarrollo de la industria. En ese sentido, creo que es muy importante esa cooperación entre los países del norte, de la orilla norte y la orilla sur del Mediterráneo. Creo que juntos tenemos un potencial muy importante y creo que deberíamos de reforzar mucho más estos lazos de cooperación para poder avanzar en este mercado en el cual creo que tenemos muchísimas posibilidades. Si la parte del mundo que en este momento tiene un desarrollo emergente es Asia, la siguiente va a ser África. Y, por supuesto, Europa está de la mano del desarrollo de África y, por lo tanto, espero que en los próximos años seamos capaces de sensibilizar a todos los actores que tienen que intervenir en estos mercados. Nada más, muchísimas gracias y estoy expectante de escuchar las aportaciones de la siguiente mesa. Muchísimas gracias a todos.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Romero, for your inspiring words. After these amazing remarks from Mr. Sibawi and Mrs. Romero, let's continue with the program. Today, we are also privileged to have with us as a keynote speaker the president of another worldwide recognized leader in the Islamic economy space, Mr. Abdurrahim Gulan Nabi, Senior Advisor to the Assistant Director General at Dubai Airport Free Zone Authority in the UAE. Mr. Abdurrahim has over 22 years of experience in the fields of finance, accounting, banking, sales, marketing, ICT, and innovation. He has been a key member of the strategic articulation team for Dubai Airport Free Zone Authority Innovation Strategy. Also a key member of the Dubai Airport Free Zone Authority Disruptive Innovation team that contributes to Dubai government 10X initiatives such as Trade Link, Free Zone Market, among many other innovation accomplishments. Mr. Abdurrahim has also been part of the team in charge of the scoping and development team for the Halal Guidebook and many other Islamic economy initiatives being undertaken by the Dubai Airport Free Zone Authority, such as the Halal Trade and Marketing Center, a global business development center focused on the halal economy opportunities for the industry. He has been a well-known keynote speaker in international events such as Arab Brazil Economic Forum in Brazil, the Melbourne Innovation Summit in Australia, the Indonesia International Halal Lifestyle Conference in Indonesia, or the Sarajevo Business Forum in Bosnia, to name a few. Additionally, Mr. Abdurrahim holds, among other academic qualifications, an MBA in finance from the University of Leicester in the UK. Well, in the next few minutes, and after this introduction of Mr. Abdurrahim bio, he will be delivering a presentation to share with all of us how Dubai could work as a global trade hub for Mediterranean companies, helping them to expand their halal business in the MENA region and beyond. Well, Mr. Abdurrahim, please, the floor is yours.
As Tomas mentioned, my name is Abdurrahim, and I'm here as an advisor to the Assistant Director General at the Dubai Airport Free Zone Authority. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the Association of the Mediterranean Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and to its General Manager, Mr. Anwar Zibawi in particular, for organizing this forum and inviting me to be a part of this very relevant and enriching discussion. It's an honor for me to be here with all of you today, sharing some relevant insights as well as some data points about how Dubai can help the Mediterranean companies to conquest the halal market. Before we move on, when we look at the halal market in the Mediterranean region, the Mediterranean region countries are highly complementary to each other. Most of the countries in the northern shore the non-Muslim majority ones, such as Spain, Italy, or France, are strong manufacturers in terms of producing halal goods. When we look at, for example, food, it's Spain, cosmetics for France, and fashion for Italy. While the majority in the southern, the Muslim majority ones, for example, such as Algeria, Egypt, or Tunisia, are in many cases net importers. So again, a win-win combination there. Beyond that, we also have a young and a growing Muslim population in the southern and western part of the Mediterranean region. So the northern shore countries could also benefit from this demographic dividend as such in terms of expanding their businesses and sales. Lastly, but surely not the least, the growth of the Muslim population, even in the European countries close to the Mediterranean Sea, this also represents an excellent business opportunity, I would say, for the consumer goods emerging industries, such as the ones especially in Morocco or in Turkey. Having said that, and nonetheless, the halal certified products commercial exchange among our countries is still far from it, as there are many untapped business opportunities. In this framework, and due to its close ties, especially with the Mediterranean countries, its geographical proximity with some of them, the trade agreements signed with many of them, the UAE in general and Dubai in particular could play a key role as a re-export hub in the galvanization of this huge market opportunity. The UAE, as quite a few have visited here, has the state-of-the-art logistics facilities and worldwide class business connectivity. It has a lot of incentives, such as the ones offered by Dubai Airport Free Zone for re-exporting goods across the MENA region, and where many countries are already mentioned are net importers again and have a large and increasing population. Next. The halal emphasis in the United Arab Emirates began with the vision of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Maktoum, who is the Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and the ruler of Dubai, when he set an amazing forward-looking vision for Dubai to become the capital of the global Islamic economy. His Highness's quote shares the commitment and the inspiration for stakeholders such as DABSA to contribute in achieving this vision. Next. Let me give you a quick overview of my presentation. I'll be looking at the broader global overview in terms of halal economy opportunity, then talk about Dubai, the UAE, and some of its competitive strengths. Specifically look at areas out of Dubai that have been very successful in terms of doing business, especially in the arena of halal, and also equally talk about the Mediterranean countries and their companies that have actually established bases here. I would also like to jump in briefly into the halal trade and investment opportunity, specifically as to why and how Dubai lies at the intersection of halal trade flows, and then hopefully hand over the floor to the moderator. Next. Well, a little bit about DABSA. DABSA was Dubai Airport Free Zone was established in the year 1996 as a part of Dubai government's strategy to become an investment-driven economy. We have more than and 15,000 people working in our business community. Collectively, our special economic zone, its trade exceeds 164 billion AED, which is approximately 45 billion US dollars annually, specifically in 2019. This gives you the size and gamut of trade that actually happens through Dubai and a specific zone. So what is the special economic zone? It's a one-stop shop for the international investors, providing them with licenses, visas, workspaces, and a host of incentives and benefits. Some of you may have this question in your mind, well, what's a special economic zone doing in a halal conference? So focus on the Islamic economy, and halal trade in particular is one of DABSA's key global differentiators. We briefly mentioned the two of our major initiatives. Was the launch of halal book, gone into version 2. The version 1 was internationally launched in 5 different languages, globally very well received, and we have the version 2 now, which can be really shared with the audience. One is the Halal Trade and Marketing Center. Mr. Thomas Guerrero is there. It's a unique value proposition, not meant for Dubai, but for the global industry, for the manufacturers, retailers, wholesalers, to help them bridge the gap they face in their businesses to be able to conquest the halal market. Next. So going into and having an overview of the global Islamic economy, let us start by going through the definition for the audience, and this is something which is fundamentally important. The halal or the Islamic economy represents sectors whose core products and services are structurally affected by Islamic values-driven consumer lifestyle. So for example, and as you very well know, in the case of halal food, it's food is halal, it has to be halal. In the case of fashion, it has to be modest, and so on and so forth. So basically, this is for the clarity of the audience. However, it's important also to note that the halal produce is not only meant for the Muslims. It's something that is actually deemed more consumable, ethical, wholesome for larger economies nowadays. When you look at the slide on your screen, you can see 6 core industry sectors. Excluding Islamic finance, obviously, basically focusing on the product-related sectors. Collectively, these sectors represent $2 trillion worth of opportunity and Muslim spending, which is 12% of the global spend in the same sectors. It's definitely massive. From a growth perspective, the story is quite strong with a CAGR of 6.2%. Even though this does not reflect the impact of the pandemic, but post 2021, we do see market coming back to the levels that have been predicted. Next, please. The other very relevant point when we specifically talk about Dubai and halal is that within a 2-hour flight radius, we have access to $578 billion worth of consumer spending. And this is actually a core, an anchor as to why Dubai has a major role to play when it comes to the halal trade facilitation. And if you go beyond the radius of the 2 hours and look at the OIC countries or the other countries connected to Dubai and the United Arab Emirates, it has an additional $296 billion worth of import opportunity as well. Next, please. With the vision of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Islamic economy, as I had explained earlier, was established as a pillar of the government strategy. Again, this led to the creation of the Dubai Islamic Economy Development Center, which has the mandate of making this vision into a reality by working with a different set of stakeholders all over Dubai. And DABSA is proud to be one of the stakeholders associated and working very, very closely with them. On your screen, you can see the strategy at Dubai level is basically focusing on 3 pillars. For the Islamic economy, you have the Islamic finance, the halal industry, and the Islamic lifestyle. And this is supported by horizontal infrastructure, knowledge, standards, and economy pillars. Next, please. To support this vision and this reality within the very vibrant ecosystem that Dubai has, it's very fascinating to see that all the stakeholders come to get together in this ecosystem and engage actively in supporting and making this Islamic economy a reality. So it's not just about us, everybody is playing a part and a role, and that's why it's all actually coming together. I won't go through all of them, but I would just like to quickly mention some key ones, specifically, the launch of the State of the Global Islamic Economy report, which just happened a couple of days back. It's a global reference point, globally renowned. Again, countries use this as a reference point in ranking and ratings and try and better their performance in terms of the sectors related to the halal economy where they are progressing so well. Another one, obviously, that I would like to very quickly highlight is the Global Islamic Economy Summit, which is poised to happen next year alongside the Expo 2020. And we welcome all the companies present here to please participate in that. As you go through the Expo, please do participate in the forum. You'll find it extremely enlightening and very, very fascinating. And to support all this, the UAE's halal compliance and ecosystem is also quite well established. Next, please. In terms of case studies, we have many success cases out of Dubai for global companies as well as the Mediterranean companies. I'll just very quickly run through some of them. Next, please. We have the case study on your screen. You can see of Fonterra. It's a food industry player that is in dairy ingredients business. They're a global entity that exports tremendous amounts to the MENA region, and the OIC countries are, I would say, are actually leveraging the halal opportunity, not only from a perspective, also as a growth driver for their businesses, and we are proud to have them in DABSA. Next, please. We have MW20, which is a pharma company from the United States, a global player. Again, you can see that they have capitalized on the halal ecosystem and again benefiting out of the region with a lot of larger market share. Next, please. We have the case of Hershey's, also present in Dabza, a very well-known global brand, and they have halal compliance all across the world in different markets through different agencies that gives them access to different export markets. And again, they have been, using halal as a success story, and again, all out of Dubai, I would say. Next. It is quite clear also that the Mediterranean companies have a strong producers in different categories, whether it be in food, cosmetics, pharma, fashion, or e-commerce. Deleuze, the French company established in 1990s, is a pioneer in terms of halal brand focusing on halal qualities. As in foods, they're halal certified, and we can find their products in our Carrefours in Dubai. Nature Bisse, also on the panelist, from Spain, a family-owned luxury skincare company, where they continue to expand throughout the most distinguished luxury spas and retailers around the world, and are a halal certified firm as well. Modernisa, the Turkish company founded in 2011, enabling modest fashion, selling over 500 brands with offices in Dubai, again, using United Arab Emirates as a platform for selling and distributing their products. Farco, the Egyptian pharma company founded in 1983, the largest manufacturer of pharmaceuticals in the MENA region. The company exports 53 countries around the world, and we can also find their halal certified pharma products over here in the United Arab Emirates. At last, again, but not surely the least, Halal Booking, the world's leading booking website for halal-friendly travel. They offer services in Dubai because it's a key market, one of the most important travel destinations from the business point of view. Next. Again, I would like to zoom back to Dubai and why it's the trade and investment opportunity. Next. We talked earlier on about the 2-hour, $296 billion opportunity, but in addition to that, we also have the 1.47 billion population supporting that, again, with 1.58 trillion in terms of consumer spending. I won't have but just for the purpose of the audience, I will explain next slide. It talks about the larger economic case for Dubai being a hub. It's got some interesting statistics. Can't look at all the different sectors such as food, pharma, and cosmetics given the time limitations, but if you just look at halal food on your slides, you can see that this represents a huge opportunity where 212 billion worth of food dollars was imported in OIC countries. Very interesting statistics. On the left-hand side, you can see the source markets as well as the importing countries on the map. And we can see that the United Arab Emirates imports stood at $16.6 billion and massive in terms of the re-export opportunity, especially for the Mediterranean companies. Next. So I hope that you all have enjoyed this presentation and welcome the opportunity to engage with all of you. And with this, I would like to pass the floor to the moderator and wish you all a very enriching and insightful panel discussion. Thank you for listening, everyone. Ending with the purpose statement, which is extremely valid in these times from MW20's side. Time to act, definitely stronger together. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdurrahim, for your inspiring and enriching presentation about how Dubai could work as a global trade hub for the Mediterranean companies. Well, your data will help me a lot for introducing and moderating this wonderful panel discussion about the Mediterranean halal market in the next few minutes. Well, now before to start with the questions to our wonderful panelists, let me introduce them to all of you. Today, we are also privileged to have as speakers worldwide recognized halal experts from different countries such as Turkey, UK, Spain, or Belgium, and also from different halal sectors such as cosmetics or modest fashion. So I'm sure that we will be having an interesting and productive conversation. First of all, I would like to introduce to I would like to introduce Mr. Ricardo Fisas. Mr. Fisas is Senior Vice President, Director of Corporate Communications, and member of the Board of Directors of Natura Vise Group, one of the most important cosmetics company in Spain, and probably, correct me Ricardo if I'm wrong, the pioneer in being halal certified in Spain for cosmetic products. He has been leading the Natura Vise branch in the United Arab Emirates from 2011 to 2018. During that time, he promoted the creation of the Spanish Business Council in Dubai, and he was the first president of this amazing organization for supporting Spanish companies here. For his work as a president of the Business Council, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Spanish government awarded him with the Order of the Civil Merit in March 2018. Mr. Fisas has a degree in Geography and History, specialized in Social Anthropology from the University of Barcelona, and a Master in Business Administration from the ESADE Business School. Well, now I would like to make some questions to Mr. Fisas. As you probably know, Natura Vise has become a reference in the halal cosmetics space. For that reason, I would like to start asking to Mr. Fisas, what has the halal certification mean for your firm, and what future awaits from your point of view to the halal cosmetics?
Okay, thank you very much, Tomás. First of all, let me thank you, Ascame, for organizing this Third Mediterranean Halal Forum, but especially for the continuous bonding between people, cultures, and countries in the Mediterranean. Very important work that you are doing. On the other hand, let me thank you also, you, Tomás, and the excellent work that you're doing from the Halal Trade and Marketing Center, and especially special regards to DAFSA and all the team in Dubai Airport Free Zone, where we have been for many years working there with our company. Everything has been easy, efficient, and very professional. And this really helps in our expansion in the region. Regarding the question that you mentioned, what halal certification mean for our firm, let me summarize in 4 themes. One, I will say awareness. Another one will be knowledge. Another one will be confidence and speed. And let me explain a little bit more. When we say awareness, is the halal certification open us to the Muslim world, to cultures, to religion, to businesses, to those markets. When we were starting exporting, being in Muslim countries, we have the first doubt that probably a lot of people, a lot of firms came to it. That is, do we do productions especially for the Muslim world, or we have split productions for different areas of the world, or no? For us, when I say awareness, is that we realized through the halal certification that already probably 80% of our products were already halal, and we didn't know it. No, so it opened us an awareness to what was halal, etc., and how much we were halal already. This is one of the first things. Say that we were the first European cosmetic company accredited by ESMA, the Emirates Standardization and Metrology Authorization at that time. And for us, it has been something much more wide, not only regarding to ingredients of the products, regarding porcine, regarding alcohol, etc., but much more related to also to good manufacturing practices, best practice in the industry. So it's something that we already were accomplishing that, but everything has been supporting this best practice in the industry. So it's something, it's a much more wide awareness that give us regarding the modernization of the industry. On the other hand, regarding awareness, I will say some change of some topics. No, a lot of the times you think about cosmetics, halal cosmetics. You think in the Arab world. You think in the Mediterranean, North Mediterranean, Maghreb. You think in GCC, and yes, they are very important markets, of course, but you start to discover that the country number one in consume of halal cosmetic is India. Then you have Indonesia, you have Russia, you have Malaysia, you have Turkey, you have 50 million consumers in Europe in general. So it changed a little bit the topic, so it starts to give you this awareness, and I think this is important. On the other hand, I would say knowledge. It helps us to understand more what are the cosmetic requirements in Muslim countries, something that probably we didn't know as a European firm before. This is very important. And another thing important, what were the Muslim customer needs on that? I think this knowledge, the halal certification help us a lot in this awareness and knowledge. Then confidence. Once you have it, is approaching these markets, these customers, is much more easy. You feel much more confidence. You have the information and helps all the process much better. And then I would say also a very important thing in those markets, speed. Sometimes things, and I think we can speak later a bit of room for improvement. Sometimes things get a little bit bureaucratic, etc. And being certified halal, it helps a lot in the, for example, in all the registration process. Although halal cosmetics are not compulsory as in food, except with the exception of Malaysia and Indonesia, yes. In the older registration process, when you are dealing with the authorities in each of the Muslim countries, when you have all the documentation, you are a company certified halal with a proper halal certification stamp. This helps a lot in the process. It speeds the process, gives also confidence to those markets. This is one of the important things. Then, regarding what the future awaits halal cosmetics, I would say I cannot agree more what Mr. Anwar Sibawi was saying, with Ms. Isabel Romero also was highlighting the opportunities and the challenges, and Mr. Abdul Rahim, the same. It's like the opportunities are there. You don't have to think about billions. As any firm, is half of the whatever is right now the market is also already important. The challenges also are there, and I think we have to all work on that. I will say very important, the young demographics of Muslim population. We are talking about 3 billion for 2023. Especially this young population is very connected with the worldwide trends of natural, organic, vegan products that already majority are halal, so it's an easy opportunity there. And I think also it's very important the diffusion of all these entities, ASCAME, Halal Trade Marketing Center, the different certification bodies, the diffusion. What I see, and we can talk a little bit later, is that still we have some challenges to make this information regarding halal certification easy, simplify, clarify with clarity, etc. Yes, Tomás, sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fisas, for your answer. When I was listening your answers, your replies to my question, one more came to my mind. From your point of view, are the, based on your deep experience, are the Mediterranean firms or companies capitalizing well on the existing new opportunities?
I will tell you, not at all. In the sense, there are some firms capitalizing, and always the first that they do it, the better. But on the other hand, I think there is the opportunity is much bigger, and there is a lot of lack of awareness. For this, again, I repeat, it's very important this role that you are having of diffusion, of halal practices, of giving awareness to a lot of the times to us also, although we were in the Middle East working, for example, for many years, and with the spectacular work that Dubai as a city is doing, still there were things being there that they were not clear, they were not in an easy way, needed to be explained, duplicities, and this is for us that we were in the market. So think for companies and firms that are in outside, that are in the Mediterranean, that are in Europe, that in the moment that they start to see complications that they don't understand, etc., it's really like a barrier. This is one possibility. Then for me, another very important thing regarding that is we have a lot of room to improvement regarding time and resources. A lot of the times we are talking about registration of products in countries, and is the same type of registration where you have to repeat the samples, the products, the documentation, especially the time and resources, and this makes everything very complicated. We understand that can be you have to pay in different countries, but let's unify things. Let's put standards. So if I am certified in United Arab Emirates, that I can be certified also in Kuwait, or I can be in Saudi Arabia, or in Egypt, or in different countries. So I think there is room to work on that. For example, I don't know if you know, but from Natura Vitae, we are the presidents, in this case my sister, of the National Association of Perfumes and Cosmetics in Spain, Stampa. We are working very close with Eurocosmetic in Europe to try to, if companies, firms in the Mediterranean and in Europe are certified through the COLIPA standards that are quite strict and quite a reference, also why we cannot do this enter to Muslim countries much easier. So we need to do something like that if we want to expand between all of us the halal awareness, the halal certification, the halal world. Also, I will say that we have room with some, Ms. Isabel Romero was saying perfectly that some certification labels are not as professional as it should be, or are giving not the right image, and for this the supervision and the audit could be very, very interesting to have. When that we are talking about halal certification, we know that is a top standard, a top level of good manufacturing processes of halal Islamic standards in a way. And then let's don't miss also, as Ms. Romero was saying, that I think we have a huge opportunity nowadays. We always say that time of crisis, time of opportunities here in Natura Vitae. COVID has been a disaster. I think it's a tragedy for a lot of the world, but on the other hand, it's an opportunity. We know about modernization in all the digital process between the firms, online training, but also we have a huge opportunity in halal in relation to giving information, history, traceability of products, QR codes that can give you a lot of information when you scan the product with your mobile about halal, about the product, about the certification, etc. We have a huge opportunity there with AI and with augmented reality that we have to catch, and we have to take the opportunity on that, because technology for all this halal awareness is giving us a really huge opportunity. I don't know if I replied to you, but a little bit.
Perfectly. Thank you very much, Mr. Fisas, for your wonderful explanation. I think I fully agree with you. The opportunities are there. The halal market is growing so fast. Obviously, for the Mediterranean companies, not only for the companies in the European side, also for the companies in countries such as Morocco, Algeria, or Egypt, can or should be capitalizing these amazing opportunities. Well, now let's travel from Spain to the UAE, but to better known Turkish company performing very well in the modest fashion sector. First of all, let me introduce Mrs. Lajala Kuri to all of you. Mrs. Sakuri is the MENA, USA, and Europe Regional Director for Modanisa, a global modest fashion e-commerce company responsible for the strategic direction, vision, growth, and trading of Modanisa in the region. As a global digital leader with more than 15 years of retail and e-commerce experience, Mrs. Sakuri is well known for driving brand growth, maximizing operational excellence, identifying innovative solutions, and delivering financial performance. Having led several retail positions in the Middle East, focusing on operations, merchandising, customer experience, and strategic growth, she continues to establish Modanisa in the Middle East, making it number one modest fashion e-commerce destination in the region. Well, Mrs. Akuri, I have prepared some question also for you. It's clear Modanisa is leading the modest fashion market worldwide, and obviously, first of all, we would like to know how did you achieve it, and what have been the biggest challenges for your firm.
Thank you, Thomas, and thank you for having me here today. It's a pleasure, of course. Let me answer your question. How we look matters, and obviously it shapes how others perceive us and influences how we think about ourselves. 10 years ago, when the idea of Modanisa was being conceived, obviously wearing a hijab and being fashionable and was unthinkable. And finding positive images of visibly Muslim women in Western media was virtually impossible. An entrepreneur, for example, claiming that modest dressing would become a new multi-billion-dollar sector would probably have lost all credibility. So the story of Modanisa mirrors the incredible socio-economic transformation when we launched our pioneering business in 2011. A 50-year-old mother and her 25-year-old daughter were forced to dress almost identically due to the limited options for observant Muslims. Even with an estimated 400 million market, clothing brands ignored them. Older women had quietly accepted this state of affairs, but not so today's generation, who have no intention of being hemmed in by society's expectations. While there are tension points to navigate, today's interconnected Muslim views her faith as a badge of honor, not a barrier. She wants to participate fully in modern life and experience new adventures, enjoy a fulfilling career, do sports, and take holidays by the sea. And she wants more versatility in her wardrobe, reflecting her increased confidence and level of socializing. As a business, we had a twin mandate. One is to fill a major clothing gap and to empower these consumers to express their identities, values, and personal taste and style. So our approach is to truly understand the customer and address her evolving needs. For example, many of our customers are entering the workforce for the first time and require apparel options that allow them to operate comfortably and confidently in a professional environment, while upholding modest standards, obviously. Unlike other fashion retailers who add modest options as a part of their range, Modanisa is modest from the original intent of our garment design and selection. Although headquartered in textile-rich Turkey, we initially struggled to convince manufacturers of the huge economic potential. It forced us to create our own ecosystem, basically, and establishing private labels and working closely with a small pool of female designers and factories. And then within 5 years, our cottage industry had gone global. So today, Modanisa serves customers in 140 countries who can choose from 85,000 items, including shirts, headscarf, burkinis, wedding dresses, in a host of colors, fabric, and sizes. They are produced by 850 designers and suppliers, and 90% are female-owned small and medium business that benefit from Modanisa's international channels to market. Boosting the take-up of technology among the financially less abled has been central to our success too. In our formative years, we helped Turkish consumers embrace the e-commerce revolution by offering cash-on-delivery service and free delivery, and to encourage them basically to at least order online. With this popularity of the smartphones and a younger, a more tech-savvy customer base, online traffic to Modanisa has grown exponentially. For example, in 2019, we had 200 million unique visitors to the site. As an internet startup, our global outlook meant our business evolved faster than many bricks and mortar firms. We communicate in 6 different languages: Turkish, Arabic, English, French, Bahasa, and German. We focus heavily on social media, giving us instant reach to consumers worldwide, while allowing us to identify what they want, where and how. And it's a major reason why, for the past 3 years, Modanisa has been Turkey's e-commerce export champion, and our success serving as a template for others. Of course, the boom in modest fashion also creates challenges. The world's major clothing brands and retailers are all taking a closer look at this Muslim phenomenon. Currently, we are tapping into 10% of the total modest market, a figure to expand to 50% in the next few years. Not surprisingly, the mainstream is eager to crave out a huge slice of this lucrative pie. For the likes of Modanisa, embedded in the halal economy, we have the advantage of knowing our diverse Muslim consumers, their needs and their sensitivities. For example, traditional dress codes determine purchasing decisions in Turkey and Malaysia compared to urban styles sold by modest dressers in Europe and North America. But there is no room for complacency. So we need to double down to ensure our ecosystems are robust enough to withstand the entry of bigger players. From design to delivery, marketing, and after sales, we must match those of the mainstream to compete effectively and continue to provide customers with appealing and affordable, ready-to-wear apparel. We must also be prepared to meet new consumer expectations in ethical and sustainable fashion. The Islamic world can again play a positive role, combining Quranic codes and about waste with the modern business practices to be kinder to the environment. So modest fashion's impact to the lives of Muslim women cannot be doubted. As the sector matures, its transformation powers will continue to shape the society for the better.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Akuri, for your good replies. I was thinking that it could be great if, as a Mediterranean company, it would be great if you could share with all of us some tips for all the Mediterranean textile companies trying to follow your steps. And we would like to know, if, from your point of view, are the Mediterranean textile companies ready or not for trying to conquest this growing market?
This is a great question, Thomas. There are very successful and innovative companies in the Mediterranean region, and there is enough room for technological and operational improvements also. It is also very possible for them to achieve global success. If I would give some tips for these companies, one of them is there are two important pillars of the e-commerce. The first is the platform where you will offer online shopping services. So your e-commerce technology is basically important. Second, your logistics infrastructure for the products you will sell. So the first step is your website and mobile app, which need to be set up with solid coding and hardware infrastructure. If you are intending to do export, the priority is, of course, English. As Modanisa, we give service in 140 countries and in 6 languages, as I mentioned earlier. Your logistics infrastructure is as important as your technological infrastructure, so they are both equally important. Is your warehouse operation competent enough? This is one question. Do you have good logistics partners? This is another important question. Is your product selection correct? This is very important to have a right business model with your product selection. Do you have the necessary equipment to carry out customs operation properly? And can you make accurate inferences by collecting correct data? Your positive answers to all these questions will be the first step that will lead you to success in your export journey. One of the most important aspects of export is logistics, obviously. So sending a product to your country can be considered very easy compared to sending a product to other countries. When you ship products to other countries, you will be facing a lot of issues. Even the sole fact that every country has different customs regulations is a big issue. So e-commerce has some common standards globally. For example, the return guarantee is one of them. And it's not enough to ship products to other countries. You must also respond to return and exchange requests for those customers. So you need to consider e-export as a long journey, or as we call it at Modanisa, like a marathon. In addition, payment system and payment habit also affect e-commerce. So as Modanisa currently, we are using a total of 26 different payment methods. 26 different options may seem too much, obviously, but if you are an e-exporting to 140 countries, you need to increase the number of your payment methods continuously. And you have to include the payment method commonly used in each country that you give services. For example, if I say credit cards are common in the USA and similar countries, alternatively, mobile payment system can be used extensively in Europe. On the other hand, cash on delivery is very important, as there is no high credit card usage or even bank account ownership in places like the Middle East. So if you cannot offer the payment methods preferred by that country, the conversion of the traffic you create with customers and orders will be very limited, and this will seriously affect your growth. So I would say definitely follow the customer need. Be more local to them, and then be very close to the country, to the need of the customers. And eventually, once you put the customer in the heart of the business like we do, things will progress much better in the right way.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience, as well as some tips for those Mediterranean textile companies trying or thinking about the possibility to conquest the emerging modest fashion industry. Well, now let's continue talking about modest fashion. Today, we also have with us Mrs. Alia Han. Mrs. Han is the founder, chairwoman of the Islamic Fashion and Design Council, an organization established for the development of the Islamic fashion and design industry worldwide. As a result of Alia's leadership, the Islamic Fashion and Design Council has become the world's leading fashion and design organization representing the Islamic economy and its stakeholders. She has been featured in multiple global publications such as Vogue, Forbes, Harper's Bazaar, Vanity Fair, or the Financial Times. In addition, Alia has been nominated Businesswoman of the Year by CEO Magazine and Entrepreneur of the Year by Gulf Business News. It's on the Dubai 100 list, listed as the top 50 most influential woman in the Arab world, and it's also in the most influential newsletter list published by ISFIN annually. Well, Mrs. Ham, it's clear the Islamic Fashion and Design Council is doing a great job promoting modest fashion and design worldwide. And I think the audience would like to know, first of all, what have you achieved till today and what are your plans for the future? Because I know that now you are leading a strong expansion worldwide across the world, and we would like to know more about your experience, about your track record, as well as about your plans for the future.
That's a loaded one, Thomas. I don't think you guys should lose Thomas. Bring him back on the screen, please, so that we can have an interaction. Because there's so much that's going on in the industry, Thomas, as you know. And the work that you guys do obviously represents the work that we all do. So it's very, very important to have this kind of a discussion. So I thank you for bringing me on. We started with a recognition of a huge industry that wasn't recognized. We were dealing with this global consumer market that deserved more, and yet they were not at the forefront of the thoughts of the brands that were catering to global consumer markets. So we came along and we decided that this immense global spending power that the consumers have must be addressed. And the ability for brands and for industry players to tap into this opportunity must not only be recognized, but there must be an education process that goes with it. And I know, Thomas, along the way, you and I have met many times right from the beginning at various, I would say, key marker points in the Islamic economy. We have done things together with the World Islamic Economic Forum, and along the way, that's led me to also speak for the World Economic Forum in Japan, where we had to represent what it meant to be a Muslim, but get this, within the context of how we're different from the neoliberalism that's embraced by the Japanese market. And therein lies the example of the vast consumer profiles and different models that must be considered, because within that, we belong in many places. So you're asking where are we going from here? I think the question is, where were we planning to go until the unforeseen 2020 happened? And now we find ourselves speaking to industry players, speaking to designers, and speaking to artists, and addressing the question, what is to be done? But I think more importantly than what needs to be done, we need to address who we are. Somewhere along the way, we lost our identity, and we lost the focus on why we dress modestly to begin with. Somehow it became a discussion about it being a trend, and it gave an opening for the skeptics and the critics to say that we are a passing fancy. But how could that be? If we're committed to this lifestyle for our whole lives, and our future generations are brought up in a similar manner, how can this be a passing fancy? How can this indeed be something that is going to be here today and gone tomorrow, when we in our lifestyle has been around since the beginning of time? It was the first instruction that was given to the first human being on the planet, which was cover yourself. And so I think this begs for a much wider discussion, and it shouldn't be a one-way dialogue. So please jump in anytime you have something to stop me on, or for me to clarify, because I'm afraid that we're living in a time of groupthink. We're catching ourselves and our children at the mercy of a media that is traced all the way to the top 3 owners. Maybe 4, you might know better, but there's not that many media creators that are diverse. So we're all sort of caught in a world where all of the platforms that we have access to are telling us how to think and what to think and how not to be an individual, whereas modest fashion, modest lifestyle, the Islamic way of life was always about not getting caught up in what's in and what's out and what's cool and what the what the lingo of groupthink is. It was more about only conforming to the ideology of God, which in and of itself guarantees our individuality. So why would we put that all at stake and allow ourselves to live in a world where we're being told to throw all that out and to focus on what we're being told to live like, or to think like, or to look like in the grander scheme of the media and the social media and the platforms that we have access to. So I suppose, to answer your question, before we can say, what have we been doing and where do we think we're going, I think we all need to stop and ask ourselves, in the business context, sure, it's all great as long as it lasts. But what are we doing to ensure that the critics of the Islamic economy in the various sectors, especially modest fashion, aren't right when they say that we're a passing fancy and one day we're going to be out-trended? We are no longer going to be required because the demand for modest fashion is not going to be as great. Have they not seen how history has proven them wrong over and over again? And it will continue to as we develop our identities. But therein lies the key to our success, is to be a proponent of the identities that we belong to. We are a modest lifestyle profile. We are a modest lifestyle people. as all the previous speakers have said, and as Leal has beautifully said, you know, though we want to belong, and she's right, you know, we want to assimilate into our office space and the business endeavors and the events and the family lives, we want to belong to all of that, but not at the cost of losing our value system. And so when you ask, where do we think we need to go from here as IFDC? I think the call to action is very clear. I think we need to reinstate and re-embrace our value system and allow ourselves to be critical thinkers once again, as Muslims once were. We were the greatest thinkers, and we've proven it by putting out such valuable works and such great inventions and such fantastic creativity. You see that in our architecture, you see that in our medical and science history, you see that in the books that have been written by the astounding strong minds of our scholars of the past. And why would we not fall into those footsteps and protect what is this great legacy and recognize the task at hand, which is indeed a challenging one in these times, because just to even put our message out clearly and confidently, today, you know, we face coming across platforms that may not necessarily be the right platform for us to express our voices. So therein lies the demand for more media platforms, more opportunities for us to find voices in other places than the usual suspects. So I think what I'd like to do is maybe invite you to sort of expand on this with me, because I'm sure I'm not alone in this strange position that we as industry leaders are in, which is, you know, asking the question, is it just about clothes for us? Because I don't think that a modern fashion consumer profile would prioritize looking trendy or having something that's right off the runway necessarily, without perhaps prioritizing before that the value system that those clothes represent, and the attitude, the character, and all the set of mannerisms and character that come along with it. Let us not forget that. And I think that is the work we have at hand. And as long as we stay committed to this holistic approach that embodies the value system at its center, then I don't think that we could go wrong in the businesses. I was taught by my teachers from a long time ago that sincerity is a power. If we don't remain sincere to what we're doing, and if we just, at the end, allow it to just be a business for the sake of making money, then yes, we will be a passing fancy. Then yes, we will be forgotten and it will all fall away. But as long as the sincerity is there to commit to those values and to uphold those in every single thing that we do, then no one can take it away from us. No matter how much they predict that we are a passing fancy, we are just a trend, we have everything it takes to prove that wrong. What do you think so far, Thomas?
Well, thank you very much, Alia, for your reflection, as well as for bringing into the table such as relevant and important topic about the values and about the future of the modest fashion concept. I think that the right, maybe the right person to come with some good ideas or thoughts about the point that you mentioned is Mrs. Ahuri. For this reason, I would like also to invite her to join this conversation because you bring a relevant topic, and I think she is also well positioned to come with some ideas. I don't know if we can bring Mrs. Layala Puri. Okay, perfect. Mrs. Akuri, well, what do you think? Because you have a vast experience in the sector, and I think you have a deeper knowledge in order to reply Mrs. Alia Khan point.
So perhaps Thomas, maybe what I can add while we're waiting for
Yeah,
this
sure.
is that one of the most exciting things about the Islamic economy is that we have a very significant and remarkable youth group. So our youth are not
Yes,
okay.
can you hear me now? I hope it's okay now.
Yeah, it's okay.
I just love what Mrs. Alia said. I think it is really important to highlight the values and the purpose, obviously, of what companies are doing. For Modanisa, it was always the purpose. It was always empowering women to give them options, to let them go and be very confident and look really beautiful. There are many stories that our customers share with us about how important this website has been in their life. One of them was about, obviously, a mother wherein her daughter was doing great at swimming, but she couldn't find the swimsuit that is suitable for her. And then, obviously, when she ordered from Modanisa, it was amazing how she got the item, the swimwear, the modest one that she couldn't find anywhere. And her daughter was excelling in the swimming in her community. I think this is the message that we always highlight. It is the brand purpose, Modanisa purpose, is always to empower these women, is to give them options, is to highlight the values and really to elevate it more and more. We focus a lot on the woman. She's the persona that we work with today is a woman that is a mother, is a woman that is a teenager moving from school to university, and the woman that is in the workforce. And it takes a lot of time, really, and effort from all the team to be able to design specifically her wardrobe, to give her the options, and then to make sure that she's having all the other things that she cannot find it easily. So I agree completely on the importance of the values. It's not only I think modest fashion is not only it's not only a fashion, a trend, or it just just a passing through. It is a lifestyle. It is definitely something that a woman needed, and we respect this so much. We are the core of it, obviously, and we continue always on delivering this purpose. And I think if all the consumers, whether they sell modest or not, they think about that entry point of the range of the modest fashion as how important it is for their audience or their customers, this will be a tipping point, obviously, in their industry.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Apuri. I don't know if Alia wants to add something before continuing with the panel discussion. We have Mr. Laurent waiting, but the topic is so relevant, and I would like to give the floor again to Mrs. Han in order to add something if you think it's relevant.
So definitely, I'm looking forward to hearing Laurent speak as well, as I've thoroughly enjoyed all the speakers so far. And Layal, you are so beautiful in the way you speak. Thank you so much for representing so well the industry. And you know, I think it's very important to understand that we're at the forefront of representing the profile of a woman that has otherwise been considered oppressed or backwards or, you know, unstylish or uncouth, and none of those are true. And we know that. We understand that because just through the sheer demand of this consumer profile, you see that they have very elegant taste. They have a discriminating way about the way they even select what's right for them. And they understand themselves and know themselves, and that is leaps and bounds ahead of you know, the average person. And so they, by all tick marks, represent an above average personality. And I believe that if we all in the industry, whether you're in halal cosmetics or in tourism or in food, I believe that if you can put the truth of who we are ahead of everything else in your business, that alone will captivate people, because people are so intrigued. We remain a mystery. Remember that, because when they actually meet us, when they actually see us, and maybe in our case with IFDC, when they see our work, it goes against and indeed is the antithesis of everything that they may be seeing as a majority of information on mainstream media. So we have defied what the mainstream media might be saying about, you know, why they've justified banning hijab, for example, in certain countries, or why they justify not allowing women to wear a full body bathing suit when they go swimming. We have not only expressed and explained ourselves just by being and living with dignity, but we've also presented a concept to the world that is indeed the reality of who we are, and opposes everything that the majority of the media says and tries to insist who we are. So we've taken back our identity, and that's a huge achievement. And if you would ask me if there's anything that I would want to highlight in the work that we've done at IFDC, it would be that we really held our own. We didn't give in to the pressures of what the news was trying to tell us that is our reality, which was absolutely inaccurate. So we brought the accuracies into our profile. So thank you for that chance to let me speak.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Han. I would like to continue with the conversation because it's so interesting, but as a moderator and due to the time limitations, I need to continue with our next panelist. I know he's waiting, and now I would like to change the topic, and I would like to try to go deep in the Halal certification space, as well as in the Halal commercialization area. For this reason, today we have also the privilege to have on board Mr. Laurent Marlier. Correct me if I'm wrong, Laurent. My French is not so good, but Mr. Laurent is a worldwide recognized expert in impact finance. He advises corporations, banks, investment funds, professional firms in their strategy, including SEGs and growth. He is the CEO of ISFIN, the consultancy firm in charge, among other things, of editing and releasing Islamic 500, an annually guide that has become a global reference in the Islamic economy space. As a result of his great job in the Islamic economy space, in 2012, Mr. Laurent Merlier's strategy was recognized by the Financial Times FT Innovative Lawyers Award for his innovative corporate strategy. Finally, on the academic side, Mr. Laurent Marlier lectures on strategic marketing in universities across Europe and the MENA region. And as a recognized expert in marketing, he is also a regular speaker to global conference. He speaks English, French, Dutch, German, Italian, and a bit of Spanish. Well, Mr. Laurent Merlier, let me ask you also some relevant questions in order to allow you to share with the audience some relevant ideas about your expertise, as well as about the halal industry. Well, ISFIN is a key contributor, it's clear, to the development of the halal market. For the reason, I would like, or we would like to know more about your company and how you are supporting companies with the halal markets. And we will also obviously would like to know what are the main challenges for the halal certified companies today from your point of view?
Buenas tardes, salam alaikum. Thank you very much first for having me in this conference. It's been a real pleasure to hear these spectacular speakers, and I think that the audience will be thrilled to see that the Islamic economy or the halal industry is so diverse, and this is what it makes so interesting and so challenging to succeed with, because it is a very homogeneous and similarly heterogeneous part of world industry. So Thomas, thank you for having me here. Thank you to the Chamber, the Mediterranean Chamber, and also to everybody in Dubai there. You are doing really a tremendous job. If I may say just very briefly on ISFIN, we are a business advisory with three main activities. Our first activity is strategic marketing, business development for our clients, mainly market entry. Our second activity is capital raising, finding investments, which are very useful to many players in the Islamic economy, which are sometimes lacking capital. And the third activity is recognizing the leaders of the Islamic economy, mainly through the Islamic 500, who you have kindly mentioned. So when it comes, I must say we'll be very blessed because we operate in 75 countries, so really on 5 continents. And the beauty of the halal economy, and probably the reason why we were successful in that specific market segment, is that it is based on emerging markets. Emerging markets is together with a second concept called sustainability, the two main items on the agenda of corporations and investment funds throughout the world. So really, before the COVID-19, everybody had on its agenda emerging markets and sustainability. If you look at emerging markets, what's really impressive is that the majority of them, they're actually Muslim markets. So if you look at Indonesia, Malaysia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, just to talk about Asia, then you look at Nigeria, Egypt, the Maghreb, these are the emerging markets, and they're predominantly Muslim markets. So nowadays, if you're a conventional company and you want to be a realistic player in these markets, you need to have a fair understanding of the halal economy. That's one element. And then what's really interesting is that the notion of sustainability, sustainable, in a way, if you translate it in Arabic, it means halal. Halal means sustainable in traditional governance. So if you look at Islamic finance, if you look at the halal food, these are honest system, honest food. These are concepts that we can share. And so there is here a very interesting symbiosis between these very appealing, these very attractive concepts that global economy wants to approach and what the Islamic economy has to offer. So that's one very interesting point that we need to put forward. So to go back to your question, the sort of advice we bring to our clients really depend on their profile. And indeed, you can have a very strong existing brand that wants to step into these emerging markets. And for them, the halal element is not going to be the key element. They just want to enter a market. I'll give you an example. We have advised a lingerie company willing to work in Saudi Arabia. Well, it's not properly a halal issue for them, especially if you're a Western company, and we've heard, before me, two amazing lady entrepreneurs that have explained what it is about. But the concepts, are linked to the halal system. It's more about values, about emotions. How do you translate emotions into your marketing? So it can be really sophisticated when you start with, let's say, an existing brand that want to target one market and will use as an option or as a condition to enter the market the halal element. Pretty much in the Western world, we would talk about the ISO 9000 standards. Well, in many markets, if you want to be able to enter these markets, you're going to have to be halal certified for both the condition to enter the market, but also for the success of your sales. So, as said, the variety is slightly diverse. Be it and the initial speaker mentioned the different sectors we have to master, be it pharmaceutical, be it modest fashion, be it finance, be it insurance like Takaful and so on. So again, there is never an easy answer to your marketing when you want to succeed in your in selling your products to the Muslim world or to the ummah of consumers, so the community of the consumers. And this is why one of the main added value we bring to our clients is first planning. It's a sound strategic planning that needs to be done. And again, with the pandemic that has occurred this year, the planning is even more important to define which are the priorities, because the way consumers are purchasing their products has changed dramatically, and therefore planning really is important in both the Islamic context and the COVID context. So that's one starting point. Then you have the product adaptation, because your product has to be adapted, and very often you can find some alignment with other concepts. Like, if most of our friends are based in Barcelona. Well, if you attend an event like Alimentaria in Barcelona, you really feel the pulse of the Spanish economy. Spain is a mega agro business player, and therefore, when you look at this pillar of the Spanish economy, it would be a nonsense not to look at what people would call a niche, the halal sector, but it's a niche of about 2 billion people. So that becomes to be a very significant niche that you want to tap in. So the agro-business, I will just tell you, how you can look at markets macroeconomically. Well, if you look at a huge, because the concepts depend on the culture on the ground. Let's look at low-hanging fruits for Spanish or Mediterranean, Europe-based producers. If you look at the substantial population of European Muslims, well, they are Europeans, they're Muslims, but they don't necessarily consume in the same way because of their sociology. So typically a British Muslim will come from Southeast Asia. A French Muslim will originate from Algeria. A Belgian Muslim will originate from Morocco. A German Muslim will originate from Turkey. And so indeed, even in our garden in Europe, the sociology that you're going to apply in selling your products, is very specific, and you need to be able to touch this sophisticated understanding to be successful in your product. And here I'm just talking about Europe itself. Now, when I'm talking about product adaptation, I'm also talking about markets. So let's look at the pandemic. I'm currently sitting here in Brussels. Most of us are locked down still. Many of our friends in Europe are also locked down. How do you do your business? How do you anticipate the effects of the pandemic? Well, let's look at an interesting market, which is China. China is interesting because it is opening before, they've managed to cure most of their corona issues, and the market is going to be anticipatively consuming as other markets like Latin America or Europe or elsewhere. And when you look at the halal conception in China, it is not perceived as in the Arabic world or in Europe as a cultural system or a value-based system. It is more conceived as a food security, as a check system. And so I'm here talking just, about the agro business and the halal food, which is an important sector. But what I'm saying here is that if you have a good understanding of the concept and of the macro economy, you can sort of change your cursor and look at these emerging markets. So China, for the halal agro business sphere, it could be a very interesting market at the moment, waiting for other markets to pop out. If you look, again, I push the cursor here on Latin America. And actually, we're very active in Latin America now, and I'm placing myself again into macroeconomics. But LATAM has an amazing row of products to offer to the halal industry. And we see that, and I'm pretty sure that in the audience we have people from Latin America listening to us. And again, the role of Spain has always been emblematic and very strong. And probably Spain, with the cultural affinity that it has with Latin America, can lead the way to halal in that part of the world. Because what we see from the investment point of view is that after the United States being the main investor, after Europe being the main investor, after China being the main investor, starting to invest in Latin America 10 years ago, well, it's predominantly the Middle East and Southeast Asia which are investing into Latin America and putting LATAM on their radar, because LATAM can be a supplier on many agro-business products. So we are currently building up a specific offer for the Middle Eastern and the Southeastern investors to have Latin America in their radar. It's a huge and sophisticated way to approach the halal business. I was just mentioning here the macroeconomics. But if you are an entrepreneur and you want to ask yourself, how am I going to succeed in this world? Well, it seems very far away. It seems challenging to hear these huge figures that have been reminded, so many trillions dollars, so many billions consumers and so on. How do I get a piece of the pie, especially during the COVID-19, where one of the main way to promote myself were the fairs, were the events like Alimentaria, like Go Food, or all these events are postponed or canceled. It's a big issue, And one of the strategy that we're applying to our clients is to move from a networking-based type of business development to a matchmaking type of business development. And the difference is that matchmaking is based on market intelligence and on how to identify, not at a mass fishing event like a congress, but to identify through data potential buyers of your product. So I think this market intelligence applied to the process is, during the pandemic, one of the main winning edge for the halal sector. Thomas, feel free to give me guidelines, because I tend to speak like an old guy on the marketplace, so give me some directions.
Thank you so much, Laurent, for your wonderful explanation. I would like to ask you more questions, but we are out of time.
No problem.
And the organizers are asking me to finalize the event because they have now another one. But, well, I would like to finalize again thanking the organizers for the opportunity, also thanking to all the speakers, It has been a very enriching panel discussion. I hope we can meet us again next year in the fourth edition of this amazing Mediterranean Halal Forum. Thank you so much to everyone. Good afternoon, good night, and goodbye. See you next year.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
To
Thank
my
you.
friend panelists.
Hasta la
Hasta
vista.
luego.